it on the gate facing the house. Yeah.
You mean so when you walk up to it, you see it?
No.
Or so you see it in the garden?
When you're looking at the house, you see it.
I'm not opposed. We have a nice place to mount it. Will it fit?
I think so.
I like it. I think we should put it
I
there.
think it'll fit.
You know what? I bet there's an
box-
inch of box on each side.
Yeah, I think the box is bigger than the sign. Not there.
Nope.
Not there.
Nope. Yeah, about there.
And our gate's not level, so it conceals the unlevelness. All right, we just added weight to a gate that's not meant to hold its own weight. Hey, I like it. I like it. Thank you, John. I think it looks pretty good.
Yeah, I love it.
I
love the live edge and all.
The
Did a
live
great
edge,
job.
the patina, and I love just kind of how, like, I'll call it organic it is. It's kind of like our life.
It fits the garden perfectly.
And I like that eat is the biggest part of this sign. All right, it's live. I probably better put a couple more screws in there so it don't blow away or fall off the gate. That'll do. Stronger than the gate. Wah, wah, wah.
What a weenie.
Oh man, it's only going to be disappointing from here on out. Oh no.
Oh, the first one was so perfect. If I didn't film it, then no one would believe me. It's almost a two-hander. 3, 2, 1. Wow. Oh my goodness. That's so cool. That thing is huge. What?
That's more like it.
I think this is more exciting than potato harvesting.
Yeah. It's kind of a surprise harvest.
Do you want to do one?
Heck yeah. I
can't have all the fun myself.
Well, you did all the growing, so.
Okay, so pick the one you think is going to be the best.
Oof.
It's a game.
It is a game. Man, the foliage can distract you though. Like it's like.
I'm not looking at that, I'm looking at the bases.
Oh, okay.
The big, thick, stocky ones.
Okay. Oh, I totally.
That's what I thought.
Oh, yeah.
Pick wisely. We should have had a contest. We're each going to pick one carrot.
Oh, it's. I can see how it's a trap.
I know,
like,
because
it's gonna
the base
be really
is
big,
huge.
and then you pull it out and it's like that long. Let's see. Let's get all this out of here. Okay, here we go. Oh, don't let me down.
Oh, come on.
I've got a
that one's going to be silly looking.
I've got a reputation to maintain.
That's not bad.
Oh, I got 2. Not bad, but I think you've definitely beat me.
Well, I pulled more.
Yeah. Oh, come on.
That one.
This is a monster.
Hold on, let me zoom in on that sucker.
This is a monster. Come on. This thing's gotta be huge. Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow. That's the winner.
That's a trophy. We'll mount that on the wall.
That's great.
Smells amazing.
Yeah, I kind of want
smells
carrots
how
for
a
breakfast.
carrot should smell, not the bland carrots from the stout.
So that's your perfect carrot, and that's my perfect carrot.
Yeah, it's close.
I think at the end of the day, it's not a contest.
So in February, these were little seeds, and we were farting around with germination testing. And today, we get to eat carrots.
I think
That's
carrots
like
are my
magic.
favorite thing to harvest now.
Yeah, it's like
Because
magic.
like the peppers, there's no surprise. The carrot, it's totally carrot surprise.
Yeah, potatoes are still a surprise, but it's like not as exciting as this. I guess
Yep.
if you harvested a potato like that,
I'd
you'd
be
be pretty
happy.
excited. Hi, worm. It's prairie dogging. It's a prairie dogging worm. Going for the long award. Good Lord, can you carry all that? Hey, where are you going with all those carrots? Hey, get back here. Wow. Yeah, that's like a huge bunch of carrots. Smoothies for days.
I'm just elated at how beautiful these are. My goodness, so many carrots. Last year when we tried to grow carrots, I think we just overcrowded them. There were way too many. I don't know what happened because I did thin them, so I guess there's no excuse for that. But I'm really happy with how these turned out. We don't have a lot of soil in the tops of these beds. If you remember, we put down a lot of bark, so I was kind of worried about how the carrots would grow, thinking that the roots were going to be very damaged. And the fact that we do have roots that look like this, I'd say this is working out. I was thinking we were going to have to plant the carrots in the middle beds, which have a lot more soil, probably a full 12 inches of soil before you get to the bark. I didn't really know when these were ready to harvest. I kind of went by the wait till the base is protruding method. But then I was like, duh, let's look at the seed packet. What does the seed packet say? These are Danvers. I got them from Baker Creek Heirloom Seeds. They have a really great seed selection. Old standard American garden carrot. Adaptable, dependable. Thick 7-inch roots, have good flavor. Productive. So it doesn't say on the seed packet, but I did check on their website last night, and these are supposed to be ready in 70 days. If you remember, a while back we did a video on our garden planning. I created this master spreadsheet of our garden notes for the year, and one of the things on there was our start dates for everything, so we could kind of see how things did and adjust as necessary. I started these babies, I think, April 25th, so they've been in the ground for, I think I calculated 15 weeks. That's about a month longer than maybe they should have gone, but I don't think that's been in the ground too long. It looks pretty good to me. So based on that math, we planted our next row of carrots 3 weeks later. So in theory, these should be ready to pull. The only difference is the greens are much, much smaller. I do feel they're kind of being shadowed over by the first row we planted, and I don't see any bases sticking out at the top. This section of the bed is dedicated to carrots. Instead of planting the whole bed, we decided to try succession planting. The idea is that you can harvest throughout the season. Since we really eat a lot of carrots and we want to eat these fresh, we decided, like, let's plant one row, we'll wait 3 weeks, and we'll plant another row, and I thought we could get about 5 rows in here. And then when we pull up this row, we can plant more seeds. So we should be able to get another row, plant them, and harvest them before a hard frost this year. Except I kind of screwed myself over. I had a reason, I don't remember what it was, but I decided to plant the front row first, knowing it was going to be challenging to get to the rows behind it as it grew up. With the beets, you'll see in a minute, we started in the back and worked our way forward, which worked a lot better. So one, the carrot greens just grew so tall, it was really hard to plant and maintain the rows behind it. So here's our second row. Looks like I could definitely do a little bit more thinning. I don't think I thinned these thin enough. There's only about 1 inch between, which certainly isn't enough space. And then we have our third row right there. That row's looking a little sparse, but I think it'll come through. And believe it or not, I actually planted a fourth row, but you can tell it's not really germinated. Primarily because we're having a hard time keeping the soil moist. But I guess in a nutshell, we're really happy to just have these carrots. If we don't get any more out of the garden, we'll consider carrots a win. But then I was scratching my head. What the heck do we do with all these carrot tops? I know they're edible. I know some people juice them. We're not really into juicing right now. So one idea that I found is that you can pretty much make a pesto out of anything. So I thought, let's try making carrot top or carrot green pesto. So what I did is off our very first carrot we harvested, I took all the leaves off and threw the stems away. Believe it or not, the grains of one carrot had this thing absolutely packed, which is about 3 cups. Jumping back a little bit, our basil was really having a rough time. The first 6 plants that we planted that were our starts disappeared overnight. It may have been cutworms, it may have been that I just transplanted them so small. So I went to a farmer's market and I bought 6 more starts and half of those disappeared. So we only have 3 basil plants that survived. So last year we had 6 and every time I pruned them, I took the basil and I made pesto out of it. But because the clippings from 3 plants isn't really enough to make pesto, I decided to mix that with the carrot greens. This is lemon basil. Thought we'd try it out. I got this at our local nursery, discounted, and not a fan yet. I feel like the leaves are just too tiny and it's bolting like crazy. I can't even keep up with it. And I mean, you probably can make a pesto out of this, but I think this is a lot better maybe for garnishments. So I did probably a cup of packed basil leaves and probably 2 cups of packed carrot greens, and the pesto turned out amazing. You can't tell that there's any carrot greens in there. And then the other thing that I think I might try is when we cut all the greens off, probably later today, is tying them together and hanging them upside down. And then when they're dry, pulling all the leaves off the stem. It's my understanding that with dried greens, you could do pretty much whatever you want with them. The benefit to that is you don't have to freeze them and you can add them to smoothies, soups. Some people add them to pasta sauces. Some people just use them as like a topping, like you might use parsley or cilantro. So that's my goal, is to not let these babies go to waste. Okie doke, on to the next exciting thing that I did without you guys. You'll have to forgive me. We did our very first beet harvest, and the beets are definitely on the small side. I actually pulled these, I think it was 2 days ago now. I already feel like they're getting a little bit soft and the greens are definitely wilting. But before I process them, I wanted to show you guys what we got. Like I was saying a minute ago, these we started with the back row, and that worked a lot better than starting in the front row. But I do feel that maybe they're spaced a little too close together, because as these ones grew, I feel like they were shading the ones in the front. Over the winter, we did a seed viability testing video where we tested all of our old seed packets, and these guys had more than a 100% germination rate. How does that work, you might ask? We asked the same thing. So apparently in beet seeds, there's a bunch of little seeds in one mondo seed. So that's why you can sprout one and it looks like you have a couple different sprouts coming off of it. So that said, we thought these were gonna go like crazy, and they didn't all sprout. And part of the reason is I think that we were doing a bad job keeping the surface of the soil moist. So while our watering system was watering fairly deep, it wasn't spreading and wicking like we had hoped, and I haven't had time to get out here every single day to babysit our seedlings. So yeah, these guys came from the back row. Let's pull one on camera. Let's pull this guy. Let's see what happens. That's not bad. And we'll take you too. You've also been in the ground since April. What? What a loser. So with these, we didn't know if we wanted to plant a bunch to can them or if we wanted to eat them fresh. We were thinking we wanted to eat them fresh, and that's why we kind of went with a succession planting. And what I didn't realize, maybe I'm the last to know this, but you don't have to cook your beet to eat it. So we tried grating one, we peeled it and then grated it, and it was amazing on salads. One beet gave us like 1 to 2 cups of grated beets, and we enjoyed that on our salad for days. And then what I did was I cut all the stems off the leaves, I rinsed them, and then I blanched them. That's when you drop your veggies in boiling water or close to boiling water for 60 seconds, and it's supposed to kill the enzymes or something that's responsible for breaking down the vegetable or making it go bad in your freezer. So by blanching it, in theory, they can last longer. So that's what we did, and with our beets from last year and our other greens like our kale and our chard, we've been adding them to our smoothies, which has been amazing. But I might try dehydrating these as well and then just making some Mondo stash of green powder. I'm not planting beets in the front because a couple days ago I planted a bunch of radishes. Gotta make sure to keep those babies moist. We already had a full radish harvest off camera, and dang, they were tasty. Someone on Facebook suggested I plant radishes because they're supposed to take 20 days or 3 weeks or whatever from seed to maturity. So I guess instead of this space being empty until we're ready to plant beets, you can get multiple radish harvests out of it. Our taters aren't looking amazing, but guess what I found? Look, tater. There's another one. I was asking one of my friends who sells her potatoes, what's the deal? I thought you're supposed to harvest potatoes after the last frost or when the foliage starts to die back. And she said some people do harvest the potatoes early. I think they're called new potatoes. Some people prefer the flavor, I guess. We're gonna let these babies cook a little bit longer. That said, she said you wanna make sure that you don't have any of your potatoes exposed like that because that causes greening, and the green in a potato is not really good to eat. The solution is hulling. am good at growing weeds. Meh, I guess that'll do. These potatoes, by the way, started looking a little sorry after our watering system wasn't doing well, and they never really perked back up again. I think there's proof that there are potatoes growing underneath. I just don't know if the yield will be as good as it could be. Some of you have been wondering how our watering system has been working out, and that's a very good question. We did a video on the whole installation of that. It was very thought through. However, some people warned us of this soaker hose. The warning was that this stuff clogs like crazy. Lo and behold, that's exactly our experience. So we didn't really realize it, but a large part of our garden for a while was not getting a lot of water. So we went to the hardware store and we found a different solution. This is the same 1/4 inch size hose, but as you can see, it's smooth, and I believe it has holes cut out in it. They're larger holes every 6 inches or so. I've heard good things about this type of hose. This stuff has been working better. For those that might be new to our channel, we have a well on our property that we drilled over the winter, and then we filter the water and then we store it at the top of our hill in 2,000 gallons of cisterns, and then our water system for both the garden and the house is gravity feed. The problem with that is that it takes a while to treat our water. It's really a half-day activity where you have to babysit it, and that's only for 1,000 gallons. Let me show you where that's becoming a problem. We installed these handy-dandy cistern monitors, and they've been doing a pretty good job telling us how much water we have left at the top of the hill. You can see we're down to 63%, and I think, Jesse, correct me if I'm wrong, didn't you fill the cisterns up like 3 days ago? So Jesse said we, as a household, go through about 3% a day, but the garden goes through about 7% a day. So as it is now, in the heat of summer when we're watering a lot, if our cisterns are topped off with 2,000 gallons of water, in 10 days it'll be empty. So it's been a weekly activity filling the cisterns up. I hate having this awesome well with tons of water, and we still feel like we're on water rations to some degree. And in the future, I only want to expand the garden and get fruit trees, so we're gonna have to figure something else out. But this year, that's all we can manage, and it works. It works enough. Strawberries are really taking off. I don't think we're gonna get fruit this year. They're not even flowering yet, but they're growing. So worst case scenario, we should have strawberries next year. We see a lot of green tomatoes on our plants, so we're really hoping that these babies ripen up in the next few weeks. Our marigolds have grown up like crazy. They were nowhere near this size last year. I thought I might need to cut them down because they're choking out the tomato plants, but meh, we'll leave them for now. We'll see what happens. Our kale is looking beautiful. We do have some aphids on the inner leaves, so we're probably gonna have to squirt them off of there, but we're gonna have to harvest some of these leaves soon because this is gonna get out of control right quick and in a hurry. Our calendula, it's not blowing me away. These little black bugs, I don't know what they are. We had them last year. I feel like they're eating the leaves or something, because for the most part, our arugula looks like that. Not sure where the petals went. The whole reason I planted these was that they're supposed to be a companion crop to kale. They're supposed to repel aphids, and there are aphids, but maybe there would be more aphids if it weren't for the calendula. I don't know if I'll be growing these next year, because nasturtiums are much prettier. Our peppers are all doing really well. Look at that color, they're so green. All of our plants are starting to get little flowers on them. This is a jalapeno, I believe, and man, all I'll say is we're gonna have a lot of peppers. I can't wait. Once these start taking off, it's gonna make me feel like our garden is even more of a success. Our nasturtiums have really filled out like crazy and have pretty much taken over everything in their path. We've been enjoying these. Every time we have a salad, these flowers are edible. Some say they have a peppery taste. I'd say it's more of a floral taste. Either way, you don't really taste them. They just make me happy on the inside when they're in my salad bowl. Our green onions, these we started inside from seed. We did 10 to a 72 size cell, and we just planted the whole bunch. I haven't cut these yet, but we're gonna harvest them soon, and we're not gonna pull them out of the ground. We're just gonna snip them and they'll grow back. Onions looking good. I was actually forced to pull one yesterday, and you would think that for the size of these plants, the bulbs are huge, but they're really not. They're probably the size of a golf ball. I'm really hoping that by fall they bulk up a little bit. And our lettuce. We noticed this morning that it's starting to bolt. And we've had a hard time eating this much lettuce. I'll say that. We eat a lot of salad, but we don't eat them every night of the week. Sometimes we want soup or to roast up some of these delicious beets and radishes we have in the garden. So note to self, we can probably plant half as much lettuce next year. We had a pretty good harvest off our raspberry plants for their first year, more than I thought. In total, we probably had a couple good handfuls, but these are done for the year. Well guys, thanks for joining us for this garden update. I know it's a little bit long-winded. There's just a lot to share. I don't know. It's an exciting garden year for us, filled with a lot of learning. But I'm gonna go ahead and get these babies inside before I get completely rained out.